he's not wrong. He's right when it comes to, yeah, that's a big leap. It's a big leap.
Sure.
Right? And we all know that. But that last part, he
Yeah.
hasn't had that regular runway of at-bats to do that at the big league level. Now, whose fault is that?
I was just going to say the exact same words. Whose fault is that? Who controls that?
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers, join today and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. With me, as always, is my producer, Steve Granato. Steve, how are we doing today?
Hey, we're hanging out, Stacey, and we're rocking and rolling through spring training already. Thanks for clicking on the show today, guys. Really appreciate it. We have a whole bunch of things we wanted to get to on this one. Trent Grisham spoke with Meredith on YES Network yesterday, talking a little bit about his role in 2024. Going to break that down a little bit later on. We also wanted to break down Nestor Cortes' first spring training outing. That's coming up later, of course, with some more sound from YES Network. But first, Stacey, we are seeing the tea leaves again. We're seeing the writing on the wall. We're getting the PTSD, the flashbacks. Here they are. Oswald Peraza. How many times are we going to talk about this kid on this show, man? I had to do one more.
One more.
Before my time was up on Locked On Yankees. In case you missed that, Friday will be my last show. Watch yesterday's episode. We have go in detail on what's going on. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Don't worry. Yeah. Okay. There was an article in The Athletic. Link in the episode description as always. You need a subscription. It's The Athletic. So I don't even know how to start this.
We both had the same reaction.
Yes. Here we go again. So the article's title is Why There Are Early Signs That Oswald Peraza's Yankees Roster Spot Isn't a Given. So we've been screaming and yelling that Oswald needs a real chance. And he's kind of gotten some chances, not really.
Yeah.
He really turned a corner at the end of last season. It really started with that big home run in Boston. I feel like that was the moment that Peraza kind of became unleashed.
Yeah.
But there's still this aura in the Yankees organization that Oswald's like not the favored child, not the favorite child, right?
Yeah. He's like the stepchild. No offense to stepchildren, but that's what it feels like.
Yes, it feels like for whatever reason they just, I don't want to say don't like him, because how could you not like this kid?
Yeah,
he's awesome, but I don't know. It feels, something feels off here. Okay, anyway, here's some things that Aaron Boone had to say about Oswald Peraza in this article. Stacey, I'm going to read them, and I want you to see. I want to see how you feel about these things. Boone said this, quote, "He has ability and the tools to do it." When he's talking about his offense, it's that last step that can be challenging. AAA is one thing. Doing it on a consistent basis at the big leagues is another layer on and another challenge and another step that he's got to conquer. He hasn't had that regular runaway of at-bats to do that at the big league level. Now, before you get to this, Stace, he's not wrong. He's right when it comes to, yeah, that's a big leap. It's a big leap.
sure.
Right? And we all know that. But that last part, he hasn't had that regular runway of at-bats to do that at the big league level. Now, whose fault is that?
I was just going to say the exact same words. Whose fault is that? Who controls that? I'm pretty sure it's the dude who makes the lineups every day.
And the general manager.
Yeah.
And the team owner. The people who make the decisions about roster spots.
Yeah. It's that when I read that, I was like, oh, I cannot wait to talk about this on the show.
And look, we have, for a year have talked about the Volpe versus Peraza thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we got nothing against Volpe. We've said it 1,000 times. We like Anthony Volpe.
Yeah.
But we also like Oswald Peraza. And I get that you can only have one person in one position. I get it.
Yeah.
It has not been fair. Can I just say that? It hasn't.
No, it hasn't. No, I agree with you. It hasn't. And I know people probably want us to disagree on this, but no, I agree with this. It's not fair to him. Why are you holding on to this kid if you're not going to use him? And again, you have the power to use him. That quote, he hasn't had the regular runway of at-bats to do that at the big league level. Yeah, again, why would that be? Oh, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. I don't want this kid's career to be derailed because the Yankees are hemming and hawing and not doing anything, or keep sending him down to AAA, but then bringing him up. But then just, if you're not going to use him, trade him and let him have a career. I don't want to see this back and forth nonsense, and I don't want him ruined because I feel like he can be a very solid Major League Baseball player.
Don't run to the comments yet. Hold on. Hold on. I know you guys have things to say. I know you do, because you guys, whenever we talk about this, like, people, it turns into a thing. So don't go there yet. Look at this first before you say, oh, he hasn't played well in the big leagues, yada, yada, yada. Oswald Peraza has had 248 at-bats in Major League Baseball. Let's compare. Let's just do that. Compare, because it's obviously Peraza Volpe, right? Like, let's not even mince words. That's clearly what's going on here still.
Yep.
248 Major League at-bats for Oswald Peraza and Anthony Volpe. If you're on YouTube, you're seeing that graphic. Audio folks, this is what they're looking at. Peraza, 216 hitter. Anthony Volpe, 194. On base percentage, 298 for Oswald Peraza. For Anthony Volpe, 269. Slugging percentage for Oswald Peraza, 306. Anthony Volpe, 363. Okay, he beats him there. Oswald Peraza, 6 stolen bags and 9 tries. Volpe, perfect 15 for 15. 3 homers for Oswald. 10 homers for Volpe. 16 driven in for Oswald. 28 for Volpe. Of course, a lot of those homers help. 11 doubles for Oswald. 8 doubles for Volpe. 13 walks for Peraza. 25 walks for Volpe. 59 strikeouts for Oswald. 84 strikeouts for Volpe. So push-pull back and forth here, right? Like, there's no clear-cut, obvious, wow, he's crushing him. But that being said, Oswald beats Volpe in some categories. Volpe beats Oswald in some categories.
Yeah.
Yet, who's the regular, no ifs, ands, or buts, starting shortstop for the New York Yankees? Aaron Boone says, Anthony's our shortstop. I want him to work and get ready for the season. He's not the type of guy who's going to take any day for granted. I don't feel like I need to have that conversation with him. If you're purely looking at numbers, offensive stats, it's kind of minuscule again. It kind of goes back and forth. So why the favoritism? Look, again, we have nothing against Anthony Volpe, and I think he should get the chance to continue to play in Major League Baseball and continue to develop. But with that being said, Oswald deserves that as well.
Do you think that the future of Gleyber Torres has anything to do with this?
Well, that's a great thing that you bring up, Stacey, because Aaron Boone, when talking about the backup infield roster spot, brought up kind of that type of thing, because obviously Gleyber is going to be the starting second baseman. Boone didn't commit to that backup infielder spot for Oswald Peraza. He brought up Oswaldo Cabrera. He brought up Kevin Smith, Jeter Downs, Jorbit Vivas, and Josh Van Meter.
Yeah.
Look, Jorbit Vivas I like. Obviously, I think he's a clear path towards second base after Gleyber if it doesn't work out on the extension front here. Oswaldo Cabrera, I don't think has a guaranteed roster spot for 2024, despite how much I love that kid. You're going to say Jeter Downs and Kevin Smith have a leg up on Oswald Peraza in the organization? What are we even talking about? Josh Van Meter has a leg up on Oswald Peraza? What are we talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are we talking about? What are we doing?
Yeah. When I saw those names, I thought, what? No, that's not, no. I don't understand the end game here. I don't understand what they're going for here. Again, why did you hold on to both those guys? Because they held on to both Volpe and Peraza like prized prospects. Like, no, we're not trading these guys for anyone. We're not getting rid of them. We're not getting Carlos Correa. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. And then Oswald is kind of hung out to dry.
Yeah, because he had a bad March in 2023.
Yeah.
What are we doing? What are we doing here? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Once more, I'll repeat it again. We have nothing against Anthony Volpe. Both Stacey and I, on numerous occasions, have spoken highly of Anthony Volpe.
Yep. We just don't like what's being done to Oswald Peraza.
Exactly. That's a great way to phrase it. It feels a little too reminiscent of Esteban Florial, Miguel Andujar, Jesus Montero. Stacey, you wanted to bring up as well. We don't have a whole bunch of time to get into that, but big Yankees fans know these names in the organization, and this is starting to feel like, uh-oh, are we doing this again? Is this happening again? And you're just like, when are you going to learn?
Yeah.
I know you guys have a whole bunch of things to say. I know everyone has thoughts on this, feelings on this. Yeah, I get it. Let us know in the comment section. We could talk for days on this. We already have talked for days on this. But again, it's just more information coming our way, and it just seems like the same sins being repeated. So let us know in the comment section how you're feeling about it. Of course, leave your comments on that pinned comment as well. Reply there for Fan Mail Friday. That's coming up on Friday. It'll be my last Fan Mail Friday, so get your questions in now while you still can. And of course, join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. Link in the episode description for more information. Again, we could talk about this for days and days and days. But we need to move on. When we come back, Nestor Cortes has his first spring start. It went pretty good, so we need to break that down next.
Locked On Yankees is sponsored by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply, and eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers.
Back here on Locked On Yankees, Tuesday edition of the show here. Don't forget to check out Locked On Sports Today, folks. If you're looking for more shows like this on other teams, and if you're just a sports fanatic and you want to keep up to date with everything going on in the sports world, Locked On Sports Today is the place for you on the YouTube side, 24/7, every day, top stories and top shows. Check it out. Stacey, Nestor Cortes had his first outing of spring, which is great to see him back on the mound here after quite some time. He spoke with Meredith. This sound is coming from YES Network.
Nestor, did you go into today looking to work on anything in particular?
No, not really. Just trying to feel as healthy as possible. Not try and go 100% either. Just kind of feel it out. Even though there were some pitches I stepped on and it felt pretty good.
You had talked to me earlier this spring about how anxious you were to get back out there and be on the mound again, try to be healthy throughout the course of the entire season. How difficult is it to not go 100%?
Yeah, it's tough. Especially since I haven't pitched in a while, going back to May and one start in August, it might have been. Anxious to go out there. Obviously, as a competitor, it's hard to gauge where you're at as far as the adrenaline and how hard you go. But maybe I was going 100% internally, but mentally, I wanted to feel like I was feeling my body out and making sure that I was in a good spot.
2 2/3 Stace, 7 hits, a pair of earned, no walks, 4 strikeouts. A couple of things I saw in that outing I wanted to get to here in a second, but just your overall thoughts here. Nestor's first outing of spring.
Yeah, it was interesting watching that first inning because there were runners on base that weren't exactly his fault. There were some fielding issues, and he came back and fired up 3 strikeouts to get out of that inning, which was really great to see. That's what I liked about that, because that could have gone off the rails. And I know it's only spring training, but like he said, he hasn't pitched in a while, so that could have really gone sideways, and it didn't. And it was good to see him fire the ball in for strike 3. It was pretty cool.
So you mentioned the strikeouts. Something I noticed there in those strikeouts went to the fastball 0-2. Now, there are a couple of ways you can interpret this. Mm-hmm. One, first outing of spring, first inning. Yeah. He's not throwing his secondary stuff yet.
No.
You can interpret it that way.
Yeah.
2, maybe you didn't have a feel for it yet. The off-speed stuff had a feel for the fastball better at that stage, so he went to the fastball. Or 3, and I'm not going to say tinfoil hat, but you can kind of go down this range or this angle a little bit. We talk a lot about trends, right? Especially when it comes to pitching. What do guys go to in certain situations? Maybe this is something that Nestor is going to start doing. I don't know. Fastball up, which is obviously not atypical for a major league starter, but for a guy like Nestor who doesn't throw above 95 typically, is a little different, right? It's a little different of a strategy for him. One that could always backfire because he doesn't have the velocity to back it up. But for him to go to that fastball on multiple occasions, 0-2, up in the zone to get a swing and miss. Again, just things that I'm noticing. I'm not saying one way or the other if it's good or bad. It's just, again, things to watch, trends to keep your eye out for every time Nestor takes the mound. What is he doing 0-2? Is this going to be something he wants to do moving forward?
Yeah, that was interesting to see that. He apparently hit 94.2, and he only had 17 pitches hit 94 in 2023, and that's according to Chris Kirchner of The Athletic. So I thought that was interesting. Because as you said, he's not a fireball. He's not throwing that high fastball at 98. He's throwing it at 93 usually. So yeah, it is interesting to see. And it could be an instance where he doesn't have the feel for things yet. And he's just, again, first outing, just like, I'm here. Let's get just try and do this, see how I feel next day, so we'll find out how he feels today.
Yes, which is interesting that you bring that up, of course, Stacey, because he also talked with Meredith about that recovery, which has obviously been a massive talking point on this show. This is what he had to say.
You had mentioned the other day the biggest thing for you was the recovery. You feel much better the day after, days after. Just compare it to last year. How does that feel different to you?
Yeah, last year I felt like immediately after my outing I was extremely sore already. And then the next day it was hard for me to move around and get my body going. And then now moving forward and fast forwarding it to today, I feel great right now. I feel like I could have gone another inning or a couple more pitches, but obviously it's a building process, and it's just another brick that I'm laying down. Hopefully, that injury's past me, and now going to four innings next time around.
Overall, do you feel encouraged after this one?
Yeah, super encouraged. Like I said, I think the velo was there, command was there, pitches were great, gave up a few hits, but happy where my body's at right now.
It's important to note here, Stace, that this interview is after the start.
Mm-hmm.
So if he is saying like he was immediately feeling sore last season, he knows his body better than anybody, obviously. So for him to be like, yeah, no, right now I feel all right. So by the comparison to last year, like at this stage, apparently he wasn't even feeling good right then and there.
Is that new information? Like, did we know that's
I don't. Yeah, I thought it was like my brain. I don't know. Maybe I thought of this on my own, but I always thought it was like the next day he's waking up and he's like, oh my God, which he did say, like, yeah, like, well, I'm like rolling out of bed and I feel like I got hit by a truck kind of thing. Like, dude, that is weird. But yeah, I didn't know that much. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't remember ever hearing him say like, dude, immediately I wasn't feeling good.
Yeah, I feel like that's new information, and that's a lot of insight into what he was dealing with last season, and makes it more understandable as to why he didn't pitch as much. Because if you're feeling it right after your outing, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, of course it's not. We obviously have talked a lot about the recovery for Nestor Cortes, but again, that had been under the auspice that it's like day 2, day 3, leading into your pen, and you're like, dude, I still don't feel good, and you're like, I can't. We got to push me back a couple of days because I'm still not feeling good. Look, that could still pop up here, but the fact that he has thrown his pens, has gotten out of those pens feeling normal. He's getting out of this start. Hopefully, fingers crossed that he's feeling normal on day 1 of recovery. Obviously, it was a shorter outing of 2 2/3 into the 3rd inning. But yeah, those are important things, especially when it comes to that fatigue that he had been dealing with and the shoulder problems he had been dealing with. And for him to see, like you said, hit 94.2, it's all encouraging stuff, even from the horse's mouth. He's saying like, yeah, I'm pretty encouraged. So this is great news.
Yeah. Let's just hope it stays good. It is encouraging though, that because I, again, didn't realize that it was immediately after his outing he was feeling awful, that's got to be scary too for someone who normally didn't feel that way, and you're suddenly like, man, this just feels really bad. So I'm glad that he didn't feel that. I'm glad that he's the type of guy who probably tells them how he's feeling and doesn't hide how he's feeling like some guys do. I wish the Yankees players would watch this podcast. Guys, when you don't feel well, could you tell them, please? Don't try to play through stuff. Just tell them. Makes life easier.
Deal with it. Deal with it. Let us know how you're feeling about Nestor's first start. Obviously, it's start number 1. Many things to go, many more boxes to check, but you always want to start off on the right foot. We're talking about Spencer Jones on yesterday's show. You want to start off on the right foot. It's better than starting poorly. It's always better to start well. So these are encouraging things. Clearly, Nestor's going to be a big part of this rotation this season. And I've even gone as far to say that the season kind of hinges on his and Rodon's health, right? I still feel pretty strongly about that. Yes, we know the Blake Snell rumors are still out there. Yes, we know that the contract offer is still, yes, we know. But you got to deal with what you have right now, and this is what you have right now. You don't have Blake Snell. Nestor Cortes is going to be a big part of this rotation, and you need him. You really, really need him. So let us know how you're feeling about it. Again, still early. Still super, super early, about as early as you can humanly possibly muster at this stage. But it is encouraging signs, and we trends. How is he going to trend moving forward? All right. Speaking of trends, what's the trend on Trent Grisham? The small footnote on the Juan Soto trade. He talked about it, and I think this is the first time we really heard from him. That's next.
Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. And by the way, in those parlays, you can bet on someone to score 10, 20, or even 30-plus points in a game. And if you're doing a quick bet, you can bet on who will score the first basket in a game and by what method. Will it be a dunk, a free throw, a three-pointer, a layup? The possibilities are endless. And because we're a baseball podcast, your 2024 Yankees are the favorite to win the American League East. They're just behind Houston to win the AL overall. And Aaron Judge is leading the regular season home run leaderboard just ahead of Matt Olson of the Braves. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA.
Back here on our final segment of this Tuesday episode of Locked On Yankees. Stacey, the afterthought, let's be real, of the Juan Soto trade, of the part of it that everyone seemingly doesn't talk about, is the addition of Trent Grisham. Trent Grisham spoke with Meredith. We're getting a lot of work from Meredith. Great job as always, Meredith. This is what he had to say prior to BP on Monday.
What are your expectations when it comes to playing time this year? What have they told you?
I don't really have any expectations. I know I'm going to be a fourth outfielder to start, so I'm just going to try to bring a lot of energy, bring a lot of just be excited to be there every day, and be excited to be in that role, and just bring a good attitude to the park every day.
This is a nice attitude to have, Stacey. Like, let's be real. Like, this isn't exactly what any player wants to hear. Is like, you're going to be a bench player. Congratulations. Like, no one grows up hoping they become a bench player, right? Like, you want to become the best. That's how you get to this stage. So for him to kind of like, all right, like, I see the writing on the wall. I see the people ahead of me. I'm going to take what I have here and make the best of it. I love that attitude.
It really is a great attitude to have, because I couldn't imagine being told that, actually. Yeah, you're going to be the fourth outfielder. Just, you're not even going to, you're not going to factor into anything. No, that's not true, though. But if someone gets hurt, which is always a possibility with the Yankees. Yeah, when someone gets hurt, he'll be playing, the whole lefty thing. He has, the platoon thing that's possible with him, too. He has a role on the team. Like, that's his role. And I love that he's like, yeah, I'm here. I'm ready. I'm going to be at the park every day, smile on my face, ready to contribute, help the Yankees in any way I can.
Yeah. And look, you mentioned the lefty thing of it. I think what's really nice here, and it seemed like it's kind of a throw-in, right, from the Padres front. It was like, take Trent Grisham off of our hands kind of thing. But you do get positives here. It's not like this is like, oh my gosh, now you have to eat this salary and you have to deal with this problem and he's a clubhouse cancer. Like, there's none of that involved here. You're getting some good positives here. It's not a net zero. you are getting a literal Gold Glove caliber center fielder. Like, don't look past that. Anytime a ball is hit his way, rest assured it's going to be caught. Like, you're going to be all right, which is awesome. It's just it's a nice addition to have out there. That way, if Judge has to miss a month, you're not like, okay, yikes, now we have to throw IKF in center, right? Like, you're not at that stage anymore. That's a good feeling to have. There is potential in that bat. Look, I'm not going to say that he's an Aaron Judge replacement, because he's not. No. He didn't have that.
Who is?
Clearly. Yes, that's fair point. Ronald Acuna Jr. Like, that's the next guy. Even then, not the same pop, which is crazy to say after the season he just had. But it's not, again, it's not like this guy is just some random who doesn't have a major league track record. He does still have baseball in him. He has baseball from behind him. Like, he has a resume, and it's nice that you have this type of major league caliber player as a backup. That's a nice bonus to have on a team that, again, in this situation, in that trade, it kind of felt like take Trent Grisham.
And he's a legit outfielder. Like you mentioned, they're not going to put an infielder in the outfield to play out. They have legitimate backup outfielders now, like, or different guys to play different outfield positions for when someone's DHing. Like, there's a whole round robin thing they can do with the guys that they have if everyone is healthy. So I'm excited about watching him in center field, because, didn't really get to see him that much with San Diego. Saw him during the playoffs when he had that crazy 2 years ago, when he had that crazy playoff run. So I'm happy to see him doing things in center field, kind of like similar to a Bader, like, having someone who can actually play the position. Not that Judge can't, but it'll be nice to see when Judge, like you said, if he sits down, maybe if he's just DHing and they put Trent Grisham out in center field for him.
Yeah, and then you have that left-handed bat platoon. That's a nice addition as well. And I think what's really cool about this that we haven't even talked about on the show, Stacey, this is his last arbitration year.
Yeah.
So from a payroll standpoint, if you really care about that, that's nice. But it also gives the Yankees a lot of flexibility. Let's say this season, Trent Grisham isn't cutting his weight. It's not like you're eating 5 years of salary or something.
Right.
And let's say Everson Pereira is raking in AAA. It's time for Pereira. Trent, appreciate you. Good luck in the future. Like, it gives the Yankees a lot of flexibility where they didn't necessarily have last year. They had to eat a good chunk of the Hicks stuff. Like, that stuff was obviously a problem in the eyes of the Yankees front office. So they don't have that with Trent Grisham. And they get another left-handed bat. Like, there's very little downside here as well.
With occasional pop to it too.
Yeah. And you know that he is not your everyday center fielder. If you were your everyday center fielder, then we'd be having a different conversation.
Right.
But having this guy,
hopefully that won't be the case. Let's not put that out into the universe.
It's probably not going to be. There are other options ahead of him. But yeah, it's a nice addition that I feel like has gone completely under the radar.
Yeah,
it's nice. Let us know how you're feeling about it. Of course, with everything we talked about today, the Oswald stuff, which obviously we started the show real hot with that one today. Nestor's outing. We want to hear how you feel about Nestor's outing down below. And again, just as a reminder, I'm probably going to say this on every episode this week. This is my last week on Locked On Yankees. If you missed my announcement, that is on Monday's episode. So go check out Monday's episode. It was the 3 takeaways from spring episode. So go check that out. It's in the 3rd segment. I'll let you fast forward, but watch the whole episode. It's a good episode too. So
watch the whole episode.
Yeah. So Fan Mail Friday, reply to that pinned comment. It's my last Fan Mail Friday. Show's going on. Stacey's around. Don't worry. Again, we get into more details in that Monday episode. So go check it out. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Yankees. I'm Steve Granado.
And I'm Stacey Gatsoulias. We'll see you tomorrow.